Democratic Congressman Charlie Rangel. So, sir, it's great to have you with me, and you were here for part of the president's remarks there. Your reaction to hearing him say that my door is always open. Do you think that anybody's going to walk through that from the right?
Not unless we hear more from the people. I think the whole thing that we're missing in this discussion is that the president now is going to the American people. It's abundantly clear that for some Republicans, just putting Obama's name on it means a no. Even things that they have adopted traditionally, they are rejecting for political reasons. It seems to me that the silence that we hear from our corporate structure, from our social agencies, from our churches, not just to beat up on Republicans, but to tell their congressperson, get something done or we'll remember this, and to call them out by name, Democrats and Republicans. This is too serious to allow a handful of people with petty differences to destroy our nation's economy.
He surrounded himself by first responders, so the optics of this reminding the American people of who is going to be in trouble, hurt by this, everyday Americans by the sequester, and the president using the leverage of almost guilt to try to convince people to listen up.
Are you willing to see a bunch of first responders lose their job because you want to protect some special interest tax loophole? Are you willing to have teachers laid off or kids not have access to Head Start?
So again, painting the picture of what it means for 10 days from now, if the sequester, the first round, kicks in, there's a statement from John Boehner from his office saying, we agree the sequester is a bad way to cut spending. That's why we've twice passed a plan to replace it with common sense cuts and reforms that don't threaten our security, safety, and economy. A solution now requires the Senate, controlled by the president's party, to finally pass a plan of their own. And that came from Brendan Buck, who is the Speaker's spokesperson. Sir, when you hear that they are putting the onus on the Senate, putting the onus back on the president, this means that they are looking for cuts, not just revenue, but the cuts that the president mentioned that he's willing to put on the table. So is the Republican Party going to be expected that revenue is part of this or nothing? That they have to be willing to raise taxes?
The Congress is going to do exactly what the American people tell them to do. All this Reid-Boehner back and forth is not accomplishing our goal. The United States is embarrassed by this whole thing. And we don't hear from our multinational corporations that they're going to suffer economically. We don't hear from the agencies where the aged and the kids are going to suffer. In other words, the United States of America is leaving this up to a handful of politicians, Republicans and Democrats, when the urgency requires people to get on that telephone and not up with an answer, but tell them don't come back home until you resolve this issue. This nightmare was created by the Congress with the understanding that it will never happen.
Well, mainly because a lot of people probably expected there would be a President Romney and things would be different now than a President Obama when the sequester cuts hit. But all of us that have a checkbook know that we have to be able to take in enough money that goes out. So we can't balance our books at home if we're not drawing in enough money that we're spending. So do Democrats need to realize that spending is a problem and that we need to look at that to figure out where we can balance the books so that we're not so upside down?
That's not the issue. There's no question that the president's proposal has over $800 billion cut in spending. We already cut $1.2 trillion. The one issue that they keep raising is one thing. We don't want to increase taxes on the rich. We don't want to increase and close the loopholes on the corporation. Now, they've traveled down this road before. It's abundantly clear the differences between the Republican leadership and the president and the Democrats, and that is that there are tax loopholes that are unfair, that serve no useful purpose, that raise money. And so it's not just increasing taxes, it's perfecting a tax system that should be changed, it should be reformed. How could they say under no circumstances will we raise revenue, even if it's the right thing to do? And so what they're saying is, once again, before it was protect the top 1% and don't increase their tax rates. Now they're saying, and anything else is wrong with the tax system. don't correct it if it means raising revenue. That doesn't make any sense. And what I'm saying is that it's too important to leave to 535 people. I say that the chambers of commerce, the ecumenical councils, the religious leaders, this is their country. And they've given it to the Congress to act in a orderly manner, and the Congress has failed. And we can't run around blaming Reid and Boehner. What we have to do is blame the members of Congress and blame them by name and not necessarily party. I think it's abundantly clear where the snag is. Everyone knows it. But I don't want to make it look that partisan. The question is, can we avoid this if people get together? If there's a mandate by the American people telling the Congress people, don't come home until you resolve this. America deserves better. And our fighting men and women, to have them overseas putting their life on the line for this great country and listening to these squabbles and these petty fights that they're having, that is un-American in every sense of the word.
Got 10 days to go till March 1st. Congressman Charlie Rangel. Sir, great to see you. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Coming up.